Okay, so today is Thursday. It's Friday, actually, because I missed it yesterday. Because I'm going to be honest, it was just some very tight deadlines. It was kind of I want to start as quickly as I can just to make sure I have time to get stuff done. So I will just record this tomorrow, and most of these I've done not on Thursdays while I've been here in California anyways. I'm at least getting them done because I still want to get one done every week. So in my own weird way, I'm still on time-ish. But it is Friday, March 14th, 2025. So we're almost at the, I just kind of realized if I'm leaving tomorrow, and beware the Ides of March, I leave on the Ides of March. So hopefully I don't pull a Caesar or get fucking stabbed like while I'm in the airport or something. I'd be pretty mad if that happened. But, today should be the last of these I do in California, at least for a good while. There's a non-zero chance I might have to come back in a couple weeks for just some other stuff. And I'll be honest, I don't really want to. Like, it is what it is. Like, I understand if I have to. I just would really rather not have to. But getting into some other stuff about the week. Number one, last night / this morning, there was a lunar eclipse. It was something I heard about. I was like, this sounds really neat. I want to check it out. Sorry, I had to log on. But the eclipse wasn't until like midnight. So at around midnight, I went outside and was like, all right, I'm in the middle of Hollywood. Like, there's a lot of light pollution. Hopefully I can see it. Yep. There it is. It's the big red moon. It wasn't as big as I thought it was going to be. And maybe it's because I didn't see it in totality, because I think that was another 20 minutes later. I'm like, I'm tired, man. I want to see it now. But I did get to see it. I thought it looked super cool. But clearly, I am still very tired. Yesterday, I also had some boiling crab, which I've been wanting for a good while, since I got here. It's one of the two places I really want, I guess 3 places I really want to eat at. When I'm here, Lily's, which I did, boiling crab, which I did, and In-N-Out, which I did. So I'm glad I got those all taken care of. Had a very good time with my boiling crab. Even the medium spicy, this is still really fucking spicy. It's delicious. But it was very spicy. And then after that, I watched Survivor with some friends. So I know I had said I'll probably just binge it when I get home. No, I'm caught up. I've seen all 3 episodes. The last episode was really fun. I really enjoy. I'm torn, okay? Because Tribal was great. Okay, we got a shot in the dark, which worked, and I really like Mary. I like watching Mary play, and the love-hate relationship she has with Say is genuinely super fun. This is really fun. I like this, so seeing that work is cool. So now the other 3 have to turn on each other, but Justin doesn't have a vote, and all the shenanigans that caused, and it's okay, so because of just the weird shenanigan-y bullshit, the 2 players that tied don't get to vote. Excuse me, it's now that we're deadlocked, the 2 players that are at the center of things don't get a say. Makes sense. So it becomes down to Cedric and Mary. But Mary doesn't get a say because she doesn't have a vote because she used her shot in the dark, so it's just Cedric. If you decide Justin's gone, Justin's gone. If you decide Say is gone, Say is gone. If you want to pick both of them and leave yourself, you can legally, technically vote yourself out of the game. And these are your 2, favorite people here. What are you going to do? And all night, he was voting for Say, trying to get Say out. And when it came down to the pitches, Say was able to pitch to stay over Justin. And that, to me, that's interesting. This is okay, Survivor's getting interesting. This is some, fun television. Here's the one thing I don't like. My understanding of what happened on the journey for Justin is he did not have a chance to not risk his vote. And that, I've said this before in other seasons, I don't mind the idea of a journey where it's all right, you can play, you can risk your vote, and if you do, you can get something good out of it. I like the ability to. Because I've said it before, Survivor is all about choice and decisions, about your agency. when it's someone else picks you, especially in a situation where like he didn't even pick to go on the journeys and not like, man, I want to do it, or they played a game amongst themselves. The other tribes are like, all right, you and you go, and then you're forced to play. You have no agency, and that sucks. And in this particular game, it's a game of chance. I like games of chance. I just kind of do. Just like conceptually, like I like rolling die. They're fun. But if it's, man, I didn't want to be here, I don't want to risk my vote, and it's literally out of my hand. Like if I was Justin, I'd be pissed. Because there's almost like literally nothing he could have done to save himself. Now you can argue, it's like, yeah, you know, it was his choice to not tell Cedric the truth about his vote situation. And that's true, and that's accurate. And maybe Cedric would have kept him, but he's like, you know what, you did not tell me about your vote. And Justin wasn't trying to defend it. It's like, look, I didn't know if I was going to have my vote or not, like I said, which, you know, is bullshit. He could have at least stuck to his lie, but he didn't. I will admit, that is on him. He did not choose to go. He had no choice but to play, and there was literally no skill involved in the game he played. That sucks. I hate that. The result was very fun. So if it was like Justin went and said, I want to risk my vote and didn't get anything out of it, I would have no bones about this at all, because that's your choice. You got to live with the consequences. But when there's no choice and there's no skill involved in the game, it's just bad luck upon bad luck upon bad luck. I'm not as enthralled. I am glad Mary's still here, because like I said, I'm enjoying Mary quite a bit. We're actually going to get a tribe swap next week, which we haven't gotten a whole lot of in the new era. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope it won't happen, but I hope we swap into 2 tribes. Because I say this every fucking time, and we go to Murgatory, it's like, all right, we're in Murgatory now. So we're all one tribe, but like half the tribe's immune anyways. Now we're going to split into 2 tribes, and everyone goes to tribal. Like, just swap into 2 tribes partway through for like 3 or 4 votes, and then actually merge, because it's basically what you're doing anyways. I say it every season. I know I've been saying it every season, and maybe they'll fucking do it. But yeah, I don't know. That's my Survivor rant done. What else do I want to talk about here? Just in terms of writing, I've done some writing for Severance. I finally finished that scene that I was working on, which was the same scene, but from 2 different perspectives and 2 different chapters. So in a sense, I finished 2 different scenes, which in total was about like 26 pages. Not each, but in like each one, like both of them together. So that's definitely some progress. In terms of Oro/Isla, I haven't done a whole lot of writing. I was actually just kind of doing some reading the other day, like some bits of book 2, some bits of book 3 that I'm very fond of. I'm like, okay, yeah, there's shit that can be cleaned up. There's parts of the prose that aren't great in the way it kind of flows or reads, but I still like what's happening, and there's still like genuine lines either in the narration or dialogue. I'm like, I really like this. I like these observations. I like these conversations. They could be phrased a little better. They could flow a little better, but no, it's like I still really like the groundwork and the framework that's here. It's kind of like doing a little bit of tinkering like I was with Orichalcum. I have done just kind of like a lot of mental tinkering with the story and with the groundwork and the framework. And the more I've kind of messed with what's there, the more it doesn't work, which I find really interesting, which kind of reinforces what I was just saying. It's like, no, like, yeah, the groundwork and framework are there still. It ain't broke. You don't really have to fix it. There's just kind of things here. Like, I read the first chapter, which is only like 7 pages, and it's, I don't know if I said this last week or not, it's fucking terrible. I was like, yeah, like this, the prose is really bad. It does not flow well. There's a handful of lines, most of which are just in the dialogue, but I think there's like one where I think that they're eating steak, and Charlotte, who's one of the 2 main characters, she loves onions, so she's eating like the onions on her steak, And Robin, who's the actual narrator, notices, yeah, she's slurping it, like she's slurping the onions like ramen noodles. Like, that's a funny observation. I actually like that line a lot. But I think a lot of the prose is just fine. Basically that first chapter is getting cut. But some of like the choice lines of dialogue, like I could probably keep this. So we're gonna start actually in the next chapter, which my plan is to kind of streamline. Because it's very, very exposition-y. It's like that for a reason. It is an orientation into something. So the idea is, this is to get the characters immersed into what is happening and to get them up to speed, which in turn also does that for the readers, and I like that. It also goes on for a while. Excuse me. It might work a little bit better with those first 7 pages not being here anymore. So it doesn't feel as long to get into like the story really starting, but it still feels a little long. I'm not going to jump right into like stuff happening though, because it's very important to me to start with just Robin and Charlotte, as their relationship is very important. I like just starting with the two of them, and it's kind of what the identity of the story is. There is a lot of shit that happens. To me, there's a lot of cool stuff that happens. There's literally a scene where like one of the other main characters, who's a kid who dual wields shotguns, is fighting a dragon, gets eaten by the dragon, which is part of her strategy, because then she starts shooting the dragon from inside its mouth. There is cool shit that happens. But to me, the core of the story is people sitting around and talking. And to some people, that's boring as shit. And I get it. But that to me is the stuff that I love to read and to watch and to write. I like it when people who are interesting or at least likable just have good chemistry and are talking about shit. They're talking about their lives. They're talking about the shit that they've experienced. Some of it is just like random bullshit. Some of it is, hey, the plot has been happening. Can we like take a moment and just talk about this? I guess one way to phrase it is, it's like the skits from a Tales game, but they're not just like, all right, you can watch this or not. It's like, no, it's just part of what's going on. I just write a lot of skits into the narrative, and I just really like that. So I'm very much looking forward to really hunkering down and writing more of it. In terms of orichalcum, I entered the manuscript to a few contests. Honestly, mostly just to get some feedback on it. Like, look, if I win, I'm not going to say no. It's something I could put in a query letter if I just say, fuck it, here it is online. Like, this won some contests. You should read it. It's actually good. But, a lot of it is like, I just kind of want some feedback, and I got some the other day that I found really interesting. It was specifically about the first chapter, and talking about it. It's like, yeah, like this is an interesting idea, but I had this big disconnect because, this is, spoil the first chapter. 5-year-old girl is on a boat, and she's watching this island, like she's like going away from this island, and she has amnesia. She doesn't know who she is. She doesn't know what the island is, but she has this sense in her. It's like, that's something really important to me, and I'm just like watching it go away. And I don't know why I feel like this. And she ends up talking to this dude on the ship who's like, hey, I'm the emperor. I'm now adopting you as my daughter because, like, I was friends with your mother passed away because of the shit that just happened that you don't know about, that I won't really go into detail on. But we were very close. I owe her my life because of just our history together. And since she's no longer around, I will take care of you. And talks about, like, this is what it means to be a princess. Like, these are, like, kind of your duties and shit. And the kid is kind of just going along with it. Like, she sees this dude and is like, okay, like, there's something in me that, like, really doesn't trust him and is very scared. But there's part of me that also really trusts him. But I don't really know why. But I feel like I should. In addition to that, there's also as you said, like, your duties, as a princess, it's strength and beauty, which is like one of the recurring phrases throughout the series, at least for Makoto it is. And she's just kind of getting into that, like, okay, this is what I have to do. This is what my place is going to be. And the reviewer was saying there's a big disconnect because this does not feel like what a child should be thinking. Like, she should be more afraid. She should be more apprehensive. Why is she so focused on, like, her duty and her place? That's not what a kid would be thinking about. And I was thinking about that. But as I contemplated the review, it's like, generally speaking, I don't think you're wrong. I feel like a child would go like, where the fuck am I? Where's my family? What's going on? But to me, this is exactly how this child would react. Number one, she does not remember her mother. Like, that is, like, the things, like, she specifically does not remember is her family. And she's like, I know, she knows, like, she remembers, like, how to speak, how to walk, and shit like that. And I would say her personality is intact. We'll put a short pin in that. But those, like, personal connections are the things that are gone. And to me, taking the pin out, her base personality, because of what her life was, is someone who is very much about duty. And, like, duty, tradition, this is the kind of person you have to be, which is why she's like, oh, okay, this is the kind of stuff I have to do. Bet. And because of, her and her, yeah. Because the Emperor and her mother were very close, I'll say this, that's not a spoiler, like, he's not lying. They were, like, really good friends, and she did save his life, like, several years ago, and they've always been, like, really tight afterwards. She's like, yeah, like, there is a part of me that is scared as hell because I don't know what's going on, and I'm just, like, seeing this dude and I don't trust him. There's also the part of her that, even though she, like, her mind does not remember him, her heart's like, no, I know who this, like, her heart knows who this is and knows this is someone I can trust. And, like, this, I get it, why the disconnect is there, because I've had a lot of query rejections. I have not gotten one that's been an acceptance yet. But so many of them, if they're not forms, it's like, yo, this seems really interesting, but it's not connecting with me in the way that I was hoping it would. And I'm wondering if that's what the issue is. It's like there is this disconnect in these first few pages. We're thinking, this is not how a child would act here, which would make sense. But for me, this is how this child would act. So I don't feel like that is something I could really change. And if I did, it just wouldn't feel right. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to be the guy who's like, oh, well, your critique, I don't want to change it. It's like, genuinely, like, I thought about it. Like, if it wasn't so strongly in character, I'd be like, okay, I get it. Let me try to make some edits. Like, I just can't there. But I am looking, I know I also have another review that'll be coming in like a few weeks. I'm interested to see what that one says, because that's not just the first few pages. That'll be for the whole manuscript. And maybe it'll be like, no, like, this is dog shit. This is how you fix it. And maybe it will be like, no, like, yeah, the first few pages, it felt a little weird. And then as the book went on, I'm like, no, yeah, this is exactly who this person is. Like, I get it. Makes a lot of sense. So we'll see how that goes. I think the only other thing to talk about is, like, Disneyland. Which is really funny to say. It's like, yeah, I went to Disneyland. But yeah, on Sunday I went to Disney. Which, first off, while we're on the subject of Disney, the Lilo and Stitch live action trailer came out. I don't know. I don't know if I like how Stitch looks in live action. Like, I think he looks fine. I think it's like, he's kind of cute. It's like, that's kind of how a live action Stitch would look. Which is maybe the reason why he's animated, because he looks better animated and it just fits better. in the fucking animated environment. Pleakley looks nasty as hell, which I kind of like, weirdly enough. I'm like, oh man, Jumbo's gonna give me nightmares. For Gantu, look, just hire a Samoan actor, put him in a wheelsuit. I'm sorry, it's one of my favorite recurring jokes from the cartoon. It's like, that's not an alien, it's just a Samoan in a whalesuit. Which, I know that's not what they're gonna do. They're actually just gonna make like a CG Gantu, but how fucking funny would that be? But from what I got from the trailer, and sure, like, it's a trailer, they're trying to get people to see the movie. They just want to show, like, Stitch. They want to show Stitch and Lilo interacting, like, some goofy shenanigans. And there's a lot of that in Lilo and Stitch. That's fine. I enjoy Stitch and his shenanigans. But the reason it's in my top 2 animated Disney movies is because of how much I like Lilo and Nani and their relationship and all the shit going on there. I think when we watched it as part of the marathon and we got to the scene where they're sitting in the hammock and Nani is singing Aloha Oi, like, I cried during that scene. That shit hurt. Like, that really hurt, man. And the way the trailer is framed, I don't know how much of that is going to be in the movie. It seems like more of a alien comes to Earth, pretends to be the dog, shenanigans. Lilo is still like an outcast and a weirdo. So it seems like, at the very least, like, Lilo's character is right. We'll see how they handle the relationship with Nani and how they do Nani. But, because here's the thing, because, again, it's like, yo, it's the trailer, maybe they're just not showing that part. Because, like, look, kids, Stitch, he's fun, go watch the movie, parents, be ready for some emotional shit. It's because there's, like, a quick thing of Cobra Bubbles, and he's like, this is Age of Bubbles, you know, the alien is blah, 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 blah. And you're like, okay, part of Bubbles' backstory is he did some alien shit, he saved the planet once, convinced the aliens that mosquitoes were an endangered species. But it seemed from his little bit of the trailer, he's kind of more of a government agent trying to hunt aliens and shit rather than a social worker. So I don't know. I'm like, I hope you didn't ruin Cobra Bubbles by just making him into Mr. X from Amphibia. I like Mr. X from Amphibia. The moment fucking RuPaul just showed up in Amphibia, I was laughing so hard. It's like, why does he look like RuPaul? Why does he sound like no fucking way? One of my favorite moments in Amphibia, by the way. Now look what you made me do. I feel like anytime I think about Amphibia, I'm like, this one's easily my favorite. And then I'll, like, think about shit that happened in the Owl House and go, nah, it's this one. And then the same with DuckTales and the same with Gravity Falls. It's just like, damn, just S, 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 and S. Like, they just fantastic shit all around. Anyways, I'm not sure what to really think of the Lilo and Stitch trailer. Like, there's parts that look kind of fun. There's parts that seem like, I don't know, and I don't know what you're doing here. I don't know if I'll go watch. I'll say this. This feels like a spicy take. This feels like a stupid ass thing to say. I feel like I'm more interested in watching the Snow White movie. It looks terrible, by the way. Like, oh gosh, the dwarves look so nasty. But I feel like this movie looks like such a train wreck. I kind of want to go see it. And if it works, then it works. Like, I'm genuinely not hoping the movie's bad. I know a lot of people are. I'm not hoping it's bad. I'm just not expecting it to be good. Lilo and Stitch seems like it would be fine. It's just maybe focusing on okay, let me put it like this. It feels like, from what I gathered from the trailer, Lilo and Stitch, the live-action film, is making the same mistake, and to me they're mistakes, that the How to Train Your Dragon sequels did. where to me, it felt like, at least the second movie, focuses more on the cool dragon shit and like the cool alien stuff, rather than the stronger human connection. It's literally the same directors as Lilo and Stitch worked on How to Train Your Dragon. They're the same fucking movie. And they're both really, really good. And it's not to say there's not like the human stuff in the sequel, like, you know, all the stuff with Hiccup and his mom, but I don't think it works nearly as well as the stuff in the first movie. And then the less said about How to Train Your Dragon 3, the better. I really fucking hate How to Train Your Dragon 3. But, let's talk about Disneyland. So just a list of some of the shit that I did. I did the teacups, because I didn't do the teacups the first time. I thought they were fun. I had a really good time. I didn't know it was like an Alice in Wonderland theme thing, which makes sense. Like, okay, it's a tea party, you're getting dizzy and you're going mad. I just had no idea. And so, yeah, there was like an Alice and a Mad Hatter that got in one of the teacups. I was like, this is just neat. I like the immersion here. I did the bobsled. It's like, what is it, like Matterhorn Mountain or some shit? That was really fun. You got like the Yetis jumping out and shit. Like, I enjoyed that a lot. I did Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, which was, because one of the things I knew about it was just like the way it ends. Like, hey, Mr. Toad's driving a car, and then he dies and goes to hell. And I had heard it was like really scary. And maybe that's just because, like, yeah, I'm a 30-year-old dude. It's not that scary. If I was like 10, I probably would have been fucking terrified. So it was slightly less than I was hoping it would be, but it was really neat though, and I liked it. And I did the Pinocchio one, which was kind of the same thing, and yeah, it's like a slow ride, seeing a bunch of cool shit. But I really like Pinocchio, so I enjoyed that one, I think a bit more than Mr. Toad. But actually going around like Toad Hall, I thought was super neat. The Star Wars shit. Needed a cigarette after that one. The Millennium Falcon, like, ride/game is cool as hell. Now, one thing I will say, Disney only has 3 single rider attractions. So, like, Universal's got them beat there. The bobsled is single rider, the Space Mountain is single rider, and those are like, yeah, you're just like riding by yourself, you get to experience the ride. Millennium Falcon is single rider. Here's the shitty thing. There's 6 people per team. You've got your 2 pilots, your 2 gunners, and your 2 engineers. If you're single rider, you're locked into being an engineer, which is like, yeah, you just kind of hit some buttons. It's not awful. It's really not. I'm like, oh, I didn't really know how this worked. Maybe I should have just waited in line then for 20 minutes. I could have been a pilot, or I could have been like a gunner. Well, fuck. But it was still really, really cool. And it's kind of one of my only regrets is I probably should have done that a second time. Maybe a third time to do like every role. But it was cool. Then you have the Rise of the Resistance. So I was in line for like an hour, and I didn't really know what this was. I was like, so it's like a ride? I don't know, it says like Rise, maybe it's like more of an event. I don't really know what this is. So I'm in line, and it's like it's what is it? At this point, it's like 12:30 or something. I have literally not eaten all day. I've been up since like 6. I'm a little tired. I've been doing a lot of standing. I'm trying to conserve battery on my phone because I need to navigate my way back, so I'm not like doing anything on the internet. I'm just really bored. Then we get into like this big elevator thing, and it's like, yo, Poe and Finn and Rey and BB-8 are like talking. I'm like, all right, like, this is kind of neat. This is kind of neat, I guess. And then we get into like a little transport shuttle. I'm like, okay. So it's like a bus. Like, I know this is not the ride, but what are we doing? Like, what is happening? And then as we're on the like little shuttle thing, we get a message from the First Order that they're about to board. So some people like dressed up as like the First Order board our thing and make us go onto their ship. And it's like you're walking into the fucking Death Star, and like there's all these stormtroopers there, and I'm like, okay, this might have been worth the wait. This is fucking cool. I don't remember what they call it, but like I said, like I'm walking around the Death Star. That's sick as fuck. So I'm walking around the Death Star, and then we actually get into the ride, which is not like a real like roller coaster, but it feels, I guess, slightly more intense than the other rides, like Mr. Toad or Pinocchio, but it's kind of one of those, you're like going around the Death Star, and there's a droid like right on top of your thing who's doing the navigating. I'm like, this is really fucking cool. And there's stormtroopers you see who start blasting you, and there's, you know, Kylo Rehnquist who's like doing his shit, and then there's a point where you're on like an elevator, and then he stabs down, and you start seeing his lightsaber like cutting through the elevator. Like, oh, this is so sick. I don't remember what they're called. You know, the giant Empire, I guess First Order now, but giant Empire First Order, like two-legged dudes are like shooting. You get to see like some of those up close. They look so cool. That you go up an elevator and you're looking right at it, it starts shooting at you. Like, yeah, this one was worth standing in line for like an hour for. This kind of made the whole trip worth it. I'm not gonna lie, this was dope as fuck. So after that, I did the Haunted Mansion, which also took like an hour to get to. Here's the thing. I enjoyed it. I think it's a neat attraction, you know, like the different ghosts and shit. The visual, I'm trying to say like the animatronics along with like the actual like CG stuff, like the practical effects and not. So that like it's really cool. I really like the vibe. There were a few times where the ride just kind of stopped. It's like I don't remember exactly how they phrased it. It was something like friendly spooks have, you know, invaded the ride. Please remain calm. It happened like 3 or 4 times. That's like thrice, or I don't know what 4 is. I feel like I said it's like once, twice, thrice, quince, whatever 4 is. And so it's like, okay, like this ride took forever to get to, but okay, we're starting it. I'm kind of getting into it. I'm having a good time, and we stopped. We've been stopped for a while. Okay, we're getting into it, and then we stopped. Now, I did talk to a friend afterwards. She's like, okay, so what probably happened, especially because the way the ride works is, you know, you kind of have to get into your thing as it's going. Like, maybe what happened is like it was someone in a wheelchair, and so they have to stop the ride so that person can get in. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And I won't lie, that makes me feel kind of bad for being so annoyed, because like that's completely understandable. I didn't know that, and maybe that's not what happened. But not knowing what's going on, just sitting on the ride going, it is kind of frustrating. I did the tour like around Sleeping Beauty's castle, which was cool. I thought it was gonna be like a little bigger. When I heard like castle tour, I was like, oh, we're gonna see a lot of cool shit. But it's more like you walk around, you get a little like some stills from like Sleeping Beauty, and I love Sleeping Beauty, so I think it's kind of neat. There is a thing with like all the dwarves and Snow White, like these it's kind of like little statues. I think that's super neat. I like that quite a bit. I did do Space Mountain. I really like Space Mountain. I really like the music. I like a lot of like the intensity of the ride, just doing all the cool shit. It's really fucking fun. It was, I think the last time I went to Disney was probably my favorite thing that I did. I'm trying to remember, like just some of the other shit I did the first time. Aside from just, you know, like being with my friends and everything, but I think of all like the individual like attractions and rides I did, I think it was my favorite. So I'm glad I got to do it again. And then after that, I did Pirates of the Caribbean, which I also didn't do the first time, kind of like the teacups. Like they were 2 things I really felt like I missed. And then doing it, I was like, okay, like I like Pirates. It's again one of those like you're just kind of chilling and seeing all the cool shit. It feels a lot longer than Toad and Pinocchio. And I think the animatronic work is just like really fucking cool. Since this is my first time doing it, and it's very clearly after the movies, I genuinely don't know, has there always been like a Jack Sparrow character, and then the movies took that character and like kind of ran with him? Because like very clearly these animatronics look like Johnny Depp's Jack Sparrow, and I don't think that's a coincidence. So I don't know if Sparrow was a thing, Johnny codified the character and the look, and so the rides reflected that, or if that was always kind of a thing, and then they like, all right, this is what Jack Sparrow looks like. Johnny, you're gonna look like this fucking dude. Like, I don't know. But I thought it was cool. I thought, like I said, I thought the animatronic, like, and puppets and shit looked really good. I had a good time. Like I said, it's a lot of standing around. I think I described to Clay, it's like being at Disneyland is like playing a game with incredible gameplay, but it's super long load times. Or it's like you're playing a game online and you're just like waiting for a match, and it's an agonizingly long wait for a match. But then you get a match and you have the best like 10 minutes of your, like 5 to 10 minutes of your life, and then you have to do the wait again. And admittedly, because I went by myself, doing it by yourself sucks. At least, like, for me personally. And maybe it's just because of some of the personal stuff I got going on right now. Like, I've been here, and I miss my family, I miss my friends, I miss my cat. I have felt very lonely, like, this past month and a half. And then with the shit I was talking about last week, doesn't exactly help. And I was kind of hoping, it was a combination of, this is like my last chance to go to Disneyland before I leave. I should take it. Also, maybe it's something that'll cheer me up. And it did, but when I'm sitting waiting for like an hour for something to happen by myself, like I said, I'm conserving my batteries. I don't really have my phone to distract me. I'm like, okay, oh, that's right. I'm kind of lonely right now. Which wasn't fun. So I'll admit, I had a great time. I'm really glad I went. It wasn't the best time, but that's less to do with Disneyland itself and just kind of more where I was at, and kind of still am. And I won't go super into like how, I guess I kind of will. Genuinely, I'm doing pretty good. Like I said, I miss my, like, squad. And I'm very, very much looking forward to going back. And it won't be for as long as I'd like. But I'm really, really looking forward to going back. But in terms of, like, the stuff I was talking about last week, I'm doing okay. I did a lot of, like, soul searching and reflecting, especially like, it was like Monday. I remember driving to work, and I won't go super into the details, but I was just thinking about like a lot of personal stuff and things that bother me, like about myself and my outlook on life, but things other people have said to me and about me in good ways, and thinking like, what keeps me from seeing that in myself? And the more I really thought about that, I was like, kind of nothing. Not at all to say I am a perfect person. I'm not. I have flaws. I have weaknesses. Some of which can be quite glaring at times. I'm like, no, there is a lot of, like, good qualities in me. And even if, you know, I don't have success with all my manuscripts, even if, you know, the person I've been in love with for the past several months does not return my feelings, that does not make me any less in any kind of way. Even if I don't have this, even if I don't have her, I still got me. And that's okay. And the more I really thought about that, the more I was like, huh. No, like, this doesn't feel like empty bullshit. This doesn't sound like sour grapes. Like, well, I don't have that, but who needs that anyways? Or like well, at least I got me. It's like a genuinely like, no, I got me. And that's kind of enough. I like give self high five. That doesn't mean I can't be disappointed about things. Doesn't mean I can't be sad or angry or frustrated. Like, I was talking to Clay last night as I was driving back home, and there wasn't a spot in the parking lot or on the street nearby. So like I'm circling around looking. I was like, okay, there's nothing in the parking lot. Let me look around the street. Didn't see anything. Let me look again. And there was a point where I'm like, all right, I found something. So I'm trying to park and it's like more of a ditch. I just like kind of lost it a bit. Like, I'm not going to lie. I'm like, I hate this place. I hate that. Like, I can't go back to the apartment and fucking park my car. This sucks. But I genuinely know I'm going to be okay. And I don't know. I don't know what the future holds. I really don't. But I know regardless of what happens, even if there's a lot of bullshit, I've got me. I'm going to be okay. And a lot of that does come from my faith. And the ways that it's kind of been renewed and refined in these past several months. And a lot of that has been, even though I got my heart broken, and it hurts, can't lie, I see how I am handling it. And that's like, I don't feel empty. I don't feel like super depressed. I feel like, okay, I've still got a lot of shit to do. Like, and not just like, yeah, like, let me go through the motions and like work because work is busy. Like, no, like, I've got a lot of stuff to do for Orichalcum, Severance, Oro/Isla. I'm like, and not just thinking about it, actively doing a lot of it. Like, yeah, I'm still in here. And I'm hurting, but I'm still standing. I didn't break. If anything, it showed me how strong I actually am. And I appreciate that. Clarity doesn't have to hurt. But clarity is always important. So, that's where I'm at. I am looking forward to seeing my friends and my family and my cat. I have missed my cat so much. And I feel like when he sees me, he's just like gonna not even look at me. He'd be like, you asshole, I haven't seen you in a month and a half, and you think you could just come in here like everything's like, he's gonna just like, he's gonna sit on the bed and I'm gonna sit next to him, and then he's just gonna turn away. And then after like a day or half a day, he'd be like, okay, I've punished you enough, now like come cuddle with me. And I don't know, I might cry like when my cat just cuddles with me because I have missed him so fucking much. But like I said, very yawny, but still kind of tired. That's all for this vid. That's all for this week. I'll see